Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mastering Life Shorts. Today we are on webinar 29, and we're going to be talking about the 5 love languages. These are ways that you can talk to people who you love, so if you're in a relationship, or they're ways in understanding how other people need you to talk about love and affection, and actually how you value people, so they can actually also be used even in the workplace. So they're very useful ways about thinking about talking about the way you feel about other people. Where they came from was a book by Gary Chapman. He first wrote the book in 1992. Gary Chapman is a pastor in the southern United States, and he's also a relationship counselor. And he noticed that the ways that couples were talking to each other or not talking to each other when they were discussing what they wanted in love and showing their love to each other. And he put this together into this book, which has become a bit of a worldwide phenomenon. It's 11 million copies have been sold of the book. It was a New York Times bestseller for 8 years in a row. And there's a huge raft of other books that he's written based on this: the 5 love languages for singles, the 5 love languages for teenagers, and all sorts of things like that. The core of the 5 love languages is a concept that if you want to hear someone telling you that they love you in a certain way, then you'll also express your love for other people in that way. And sometimes people express or listen for that someone else loves them in different ways. Now, before we go on, a little cautionary tale. When I was training to be a teacher, which I was in my first career, I was taught about the learning styles, the 3 learning styles, and people were told, or I was told, that every student was either an auditory learner, a kinesthetic learner, or a visual learner. That is, that they learn by hearing, auditory, they doing, kinesthetic, or visual by seeing. And it's complete rubbish. Study after study after study has been done into these 3 learning styles, and has found that actually, if someone says that they're one type of learner, they'll actually learn just as well in other ways. There's no statistical difference. If a student thinks that they're one type of learner, a teacher will think they're another type of learner. There's just no correlation. However, the one thing that I found useful about the 3 learning styles was just considering that there are different ways of learning. So, for example, if when I'm giving this presentation, I'm using 2 learning styles. I'm using the auditory learning style, and I'm using the visual learning style, in that you can see me and you can see the slides. And I don't think that's a bad thing. So the core idea that everyone is one learning style is wrong. The ability to use different learning styles is great. With the love languages, Gary Chapman suggests that every person has a single primary love language, and he simplifies the way that people talk about love and think about love down to every single person has got one love language. I personally don't necessarily buy into that. I certainly can hear love being or recognize love being talked to me in multiple ways. And I hope that I would express my love to people, or my affection and appreciation to people in multiple love languages. However, it is definitely something that is useful to be aware of the 5 love languages and think, actually, am I only using one of them? So let's talk about a love tank. Now, in Gary Chapman's book, then he talks about the idea of a love tank. And the love tank is essentially how much love, affection, relevance, importance you feel. So if you are feeling completely loved up, if you're feeling that people around you really value you for who you are and what you are, and you're feeling that you are being loved, then your love tank will be completely full. Over time, your love tank will empty, and people can do different things to fill your love tank. Now, if we don't have a full love tank, we'll feel very lost and unhappy. And I've been in relationships where I haven't felt loved, where I've felt, you know, that my love tank is empty, and it's a horrible feeling. I've also been in relationships that my love tank is feeling very, very full, and I'm feeling really loved up and really appreciated. Again, in the workplace, I have been in workplaces where I felt very appreciated for what I've done. I felt that my manager and the colleagues around me have been very happy with what I'm doing, and that's great. It's a wonderful feeling. So maybe I'd call that my work value tank instead of my love tank in that context. And then there's other times that I'm sure I'm doing a good job, but I just haven't felt valued, and so it's like my work love tank is very low. And it could be that my managers or my colleagues at the time weren't expressing their appreciation for me in the right way. Who knows? So, without further ado, I need to tell you what the 5 love languages are. So, the 5 love languages are: 1, words of affirmation. That's when you say that you love someone to someone. Quality time is the 2nd love language, and we'll be talking in more detail about these 2 love languages this session, and next week we'll be talking about the next 3, which are receiving gifts, fairly straightforward; acts of service, which is when you do something for people that you didn't want to do anyway; and physical touch, which includes sex. So we'll be talking about the last 3, and also how to use the love languages and how to spot other people's love languages. We'll be talking about next week. This week, we're going to be talking about words of affirmation and quality time. So, words of affirmation. These are the things that we say that other people need to hear. Words of affirmation can be directly spoken to someone. So, for example, if you said to someone, "I love you," then you're speaking a word of affirmation, words of affirmation to them. You could also say it to other people, and it could then get back to them. Now, the key here is that you're not, going behind the person to smarm them in any way or shape or form, but you recognize that words of affirmation can come in multiple forms. So if you went to the person you love's mother and you told them that you really loved that person, then it's likely to get back to them. Likewise, in a workplace scenario, you can say directly to an employee, I'm really, really appreciative of what you're doing. Thank you so much. You're really great at your job. Or you could say to their manager, for example, if they weren't a direct report, or you could say to other people, he's really good at that. I'm really impressed by what he's doing. And that sort of thing often has a really good effect. But again, you have to be a little bit careful about how you use those public words of affirmation, and in particular in workplaces, you have to judge the person quite carefully, in that they might not enjoy being, other people knowing that they're good at their job. So words of affirmation, as much as it sounds great to tell people that they're appreciated and loved, you have to be careful. The other thing is that words of affirmation can be written. So if you give someone a card or a letter and it tells them that they love them, then some people will absolutely love that and really, really enjoy those words of affirmation. Gary Chapman talks about love languages having dialects. So in terms of words of affirmation, there are 4 dialects. So one is compliments. I love you is essentially a compliment, but so is you look amazing today. You're great at that. All of those things are compliments. Encouraging words are an interesting form of words of affirmation, in that you're helping someone move forwards in something by bigging them up. So yeah, no, you know what? I think you'd be really good at that job. Or yeah, you can do it. Just keep going. Or why don't you enter that competition? I think you might win. Or you're in with a chance. All of those are words of affirmation. They're building that person up and showing that you really care for them. Kind words are another dialect of words of affirmation. So kind words are, just being nice to people and being with them and spending time with them, especially in times of struggle or hard. When they're finding life hard, then that is definitely a form of words of affirmation. And then humble words. So humble words are an interesting version of words of affirmation, in that what you're doing here is you're asking for something, but you're asking in a very humble way. So instead of saying, for example, you know what, I'd love pasta this week, you big that person up at the same time. So you know what, you make some amazing pasta and I'd love it if you could make that for me. So it is actually asking for something, but you're doing it comes from intention here, in that you're not doing it just because you want the thing and you're going to say nice things. It's actually true, but you're making them feel good through asking for something. So that's humble words. Now let me talk about Adrian and Bilal. So Adrian works really hard. He works long hours. He's working in an office. He comes home late at night. He spends his life telling Bilal he loves him. He sends little messages. He sends you know, he comes home. He gives Bilal a kiss on the cheek and tells Bilal he loves him. But Bilal isn't feeling loved. Why? Well, Bilal wants to spend time with Adrian. Bilal would like to be able to sit down with Adrian, and instead of them eating in front of the TV, and when they try to have a conversation, Adrian continues to work and check his emails and answer his tweets and all the rest of it. Bilal actually wants to sit down and be with Adrian in quality time. And so in this case, words of affirmation are nice, but they're not getting to the core because they just feel like surface. And this is probably one of the most important things about the love languages is that you can, next week we'll be talking about gifts. You can give roses to someone, but if you're not showing them that you love them, it actually feels on the surface or even disingenuous. So in the case of Adrian and Bilal, what they want is quality time. They want time where Bilal and Adrian can sit down and totally focus on each other, where they turn off their phones and they just really listen to each other. They don't watch TV, or if they do, they watch something that they know that they're going to talk about later. They could go off and have a meal together outside, you know, outside lockdown, obviously. They could go for walks, do quality activities together. They could play sports together or games together. They're actually just together and engaging in quality conversation. You know, quality conversation could be conversation about, you know, politics or art or music or anything, or it could be about each other. Now, the important thing about quality time is it's another way of saying, I love you, or I appreciate you, I value you enough to put all the rest of the world aside in order to spend time with you. I was speaking to one of my coaching clients recently, and he was saying that every single day he and his partner stop whatever they're doing and they cook together. He said neither of them particularly like cooking. They like food, but they don't really like cooking as such. So what they do is they make sure that they spend that time, and that's the time that they share their lives. With my partner, we go for walks in the morning, and it's great because actually it's the time that the phone's away. I'm terrible with my phone. I'm really bad. So when we go for long walks, we're chatting away because my phone's in my pocket and it's gone. And it means that we really have interesting conversations and actually share time with each other. It's really important. When you're sharing time with someone, how good are you at listening? Now, one of the things about listening, I'm a terrible listener. I'm a really terrible listener, apart from when I really put my mind to it. So when I'm coaching people, I will turn my phone off. I normally have an Apple Watch on my wrist, and I'll take it off for these presentations, and I'll take it off for my coaching, because I know that when I'm coaching, it will buzz when people are trying to send me messages, or there's, you know, responses to tweets I put out or whatever. All of these things mean that I am listening better. Someone's just asked a question. I recognize all of this. Is it normal to feel and use all of these languages but favor one to lead? I'll answer that question in a minute. Thanks, Paul. So, so listening, in order to listen, you have to shut up. You have to not answer. Now, my challenge to you is next time you have a conversation with someone, wait to the point that you want to answer, you want to give your opinion, you want to say something, unless you're answering a question, obviously, and say nothing for as long as you can and see how much they get out of that conversation, how much more they get out of the conversation, and how much more you get out of the conversation. Because often when we're talking, we sort of feel like we have to interject, we have to give our point. Sometimes people just want to say, and people come home from work and they don't actually want you to solve their problems. They just want to offload a load of stuff for you. They want you to know what's going on, and they don't need you to solve an answer. However, if you're a good listener, are you also good at talking? Now, one of the things that again, it's part of the love language is to talk to people and to share what you're feeling. So if you're coming home and you've got stuff bottled up, I've been in relationships where my partner has not told me what's going on, and it's really, really hard, because how am I supposed to deal with their feelings if they don't share them with me? So also, my other challenge, if you're in a relationship or if it's just in your family, if you're single, how good are you at expressing your feelings, your emotions, and your thoughts? Now, the question, is it normal to feel and use all of these languages but favor one or lean to one over the others? So yes, so Gary Chapman suggests that every person has one primary love language. As I say, I think there are certain ones that we fall down to. So I think it's very easy, for example, to think, well, you know what? As long as I say I love you every now and then I'm telling you I love you. And of course you should know I love you, when actually the people want some quality time with you. Or maybe you're like, you know, I've spent the whole of the day with you. Why do I need to tell you that I love you? So often we find our love languages from when it doesn't work quite, when the other person is expecting something else. And you said, but of course I love you. That point is when you find out what your primary love language is. But we'll talk more about that next session. In order to talk about this session, as always, I put together a web worksheet, which you can download from my website, englishleathermaster.com/mastering-life-shorts. Password today is quality, and we'll talk about the love tank and getting you to think about when your love tank gets filled up and when it empties, because that's really important for noticing when you are hearing the love languages, both in work and in your relationships. When you use words of affirmation, sometimes it's quite difficult to hear them, but really easy to give them. And sometimes it's the other way around. You love hearing it, but you find it very difficult. I know as a teacher, I found it very difficult to praise people, for example. And about quality time, how good you are with your quality time. So if you download that. Now, the other thing that is worth saying at this point is if you are single, then absolutely learn the love languages, because you'll be listening out for them. If you are in a couple and you're not quite getting the love languages right, that you're not really expressing to each other, get in touch. Pair coaching, where you both come in, couples coaching, where you both come in and we talk about your needs in your relationship, is something we can absolutely do. So get to my website, click on the links, and we'll sort out a coaching experience for free, and we can talk about your love. Next session, I always go to say lesson, is the second part of the love languages. We'll be talking about the last three, which is receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So I look forward to speaking to you then. Goodbye.